Did you know that the Book of Job contains one of the earliest known references to the constellations Orion and the Pleiades, suggesting a sophisticated astronomical awareness far older than most people realize? While many recognize Job as a profound study in suffering and faith, few explore these hidden cosmic hints found in its poetic chapters. Welcome to our deep dive into the story of Job, one of the most mysterious and poignant accounts in the entire Bible. Today, we will journey through his trials, triumphs, and ultimate transformation, shedding fresh light on a narrative that has challenged scholars and believers for centuries. The Book of Job tackles difficult questions about divine justice, personal integrity, and the nature of suffering. Why would a righteous man endure unthinkable loss, and how could a just God allow it? These questions echo across generations, making Job's story as relevant now as it was in ancient times. Through this video, we will uncover lesser-known facets and place Job's experience in the grand sweep of biblical history, weaving together theological reflections with timeless human emotions. Join us in exploring the quiet strength that emerges when one refuses to forsake faith, even when the world appears to unravel. Prepare to be inspired and challenged. The opening scene of the Book of Job introduces us to a man described as blameless and upright, residing in the land of Uz. Job is blessed with abundant wealth, a large family, and a reputation for godliness. Then, in a heavenly council, Satan challenges God, suggesting that Job's faith is merely transactional, rooted in his prosperity rather than genuine devotion. God allows Satan to test Job, initiating a sequence of calamities that will strip him of almost everything he holds dear. Suddenly, Job loses his livestock, many of his servants, and, most heartbreakingly, his children. In an astonishing display of resilience, he falls to the ground in worship, declaring, "The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away." This moment sets the stage for one of the Bible's most dramatic portrayals of unwavering faith amid unthinkable loss. You can almost feel the tension mount as we consider, how far can faith stretch when life's foundations crumble? If you find these questions as compelling as we do, don't forget to subscribe. By joining our community, you'll never miss a captivating story from the Bible, complete with thought-provoking insights that can enrich your own spiritual journey. Let's continue on and see how Job's trials intensify, testing him beyond measure. Following Job's initial devastation, Satan returns to the heavenly council, insisting that if Job himself is physically afflicted, he will curse God. Granted permission, Satan afflicts Job with painful sores from head to toe. In this agonizing state, Job sits among the ashes, scraping his skin with a broken piece of pottery. The starkness of his suffering forces us to confront a difficult truth. Faith is often tested in the crucible of personal anguish rather than in moments of peace. Job's wife, seeing his torment, urges him to curse God and die, but he refuses. Instead, he defends God's sovereignty, even if he cannot understand the reason for his suffering. Soon, three friends, Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar, arrive to mourn with him. Initially, they sit in silent empathy for 7 days. Yet, this communal grief will soon give way to heated debates as each friend attempts to reconcile Job's suffering with their theology of divine justice. Their assumption is that righteous living guarantees immediate blessing, and sin leads to disaster. Job, however, vehemently asserts his innocence and grapples with the apparent injustice. This tension between simplistic explanations and the complexities of real suffering drives the heart of Job's story forward. The dialogues that follow form the core of the Book of Job, presenting a kaleidoscope of perspectives on why suffering exists. Eliphaz urges Job to search for hidden sin, suggesting that no one is ever truly righteous before God. Bildad insists that God punishes only the wicked, implying Job must have done something to deserve punishment. Zophar is even more direct, insisting Job should repent. Job, however, refuses to accept a simplistic formula. He maintains his integrity and pleads for an audience with the Almighty. As the debate escalates, the friends become less compassionate and more accusatory, and Job's despair deepens. He curses the day of his birth, wrestling with the torment of seemingly inexplicable suffering. Still, he never completely abandons his faith in God. Instead, he continually calls for divine vindication, longing to understand why his once blessed life has turned to ruin. This emotional standoff highlights a universal dilemma. How do we reconcile suffering with a belief in a just, loving God? Job's refusal to offer easy answers challenges our own propensity to reach for quick explanations. Each speaker's argument raises profound questions about human morality, divine justice, and the limits of human understanding in the face of deep pain. After a lengthy cycle of debates, a fourth figure, Elihu, enters the conversation. Younger than the others, he has listened in silence, growing increasingly frustrated with both Job and his friends. Elihu criticizes the friends for failing to provide real answers and chastises Job for seeming too self-righteous. He argues that God can use suffering to teach and correct, and that God is beyond human comprehension. Yet, Elihu's speeches, while insightful, do not fully resolve the tension. The real turning point comes when God himself answers from a whirlwind. Instead of explaining the rationale behind Job's suffering, God poses a series of questions about the wonders of creation. Where were you when I laid the earth's foundation? This divine discourse emphasizes human limitations. God reveals the gap between finite human understanding and the boundless reality of the Creator. Importantly, God never accuses Job of wrongdoing. He challenges Job to see beyond the immediate crisis, to trust in a cosmic order infinitely greater than personal hardship. In this, we're reminded that sometimes the answers we seek remain hidden, not because God is cruel, but because our perspective cannot grasp the fullness of the divine plan. Nevertheless, the conversation profoundly shifts Job's outlook. In response to God's thunderous questions, Job humbly acknowledges his limitations, repenting in dust and ashes. Though he never receives a clear explanation for his ordeal, he encounters God's majesty and realizes that divine wisdom extends far beyond human comprehension. In the epilogue, God rebukes Job's friends for their flawed assumptions and praises Job for having spoken what is right about him. Furthermore, Job's fortunes are restored. He gains new children, wealth, and a life even more blessed than before. Yet the story's climax is not the restoration itself, but rather Job's deeper understanding of God's sovereignty. His journey exemplifies a transformative faith, one that remains steadfast even when circumstances defy logic. For centuries, believers have turned to Job for comfort and perspective during adversity. His experiences remind us that unwavering devotion can exist alongside questions, struggles, and anguish. In reflecting on Job's saga, we see a powerful message. Ultimate peace lies not in simplistic explanations, but in meeting God face to face, if only through faith. By refusing to let go of the Almighty, Job reveals the essence of resilience and hope. For those navigating life's storms, his story stands as a roadmap to a faith that can weather even the harshest tests. From the cosmic challenge issued in heaven to the sacred dialogue with the Almighty, the story of Job traverses despair, debate, and divine encounter. That lesser-discussed glimpse into celestial bodies, Orion and the Pleiades, serves as a reminder of the book's sweeping scope, linking human suffering with the vastness of creation. In Job's world, the heavens themselves attest to a reality both majestic and mysterious, confirming that our earthly afflictions are but part of a grander design. At its heart, Job's narrative transcends an ancient setting to address eternal truths. Faith can flourish amid confusion, character can be refined through trials, and God remains sovereign even when his ways are hidden. As Job lamented his misfortune, wrestled with friends, and pleaded for divine justice, he also clung to the unshakable belief that God was real and would ultimately redeem his pain. His steadfastness stands as an enduring testament to the resilience of authentic devotion. May Job's journey inspire you in your own seasons of difficulty. When your heart cries out for answers, remember this ancient sufferer who, though stripped of all, refused to relinquish faith. His story beckons us to trust that sometimes our darkest trials pave the way to our brightest revelations.